Welcome back to Following Funnel Force. This is Brent Stone, and I've got Glen Martin here with me, and excited about this this final episode where we talk about Glen's top 3 takeaways that you can take away in basically boosting your lead generation. We are a demand generation firm at Funnel Force, and that is we have niched down again. We are basically just performing one thing, and that is demand generation. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that on some of our shorts coming up, but we've got a special announcement at the end of this episode, so stay tuned until the end. I'm going to kick it to Glen real quick to kick this off. Glen, what's good, man? What's going on?
Man, what's up, guys? Brent, man, it's great to be on here as always because we're just hanging out and having fun. But a lot of great things are going on, and you know, there's nothing that I like to talk about. Well, there's probably more things, but I love talking about leads. I love talking about how to generate better leads, more leads, because I made a post on my LinkedIn here a couple of days ago, and I said, if you want to double your business, double your leads. And so, what we're going to talk about today, and this is going to be a lot of fun. Brent and I are going to go back and forth on this one, but we're going to talk about Alex Hormozy has the phrase lead getters. We're going to talk about your different sources to get leads. So it's a great terminology. Brent, I'm going to kick it back to you to kind of start this off on what are some of your, popular lead getters that you would turn to if you were looking to generate new leads or high quality leads right away?
Yeah, so that's a great question. For me, lead getters, first let's define it. So if you have something that gets you leads, it's automated bringing you leads. So instead of you being the lead getter, you employ lead getters for you, and they don't have to be people that you're paying $20 an hour to, or
Yeah.
maybe a salesperson that you're paying even more. It could actually be relationships that you build. It could be current clients that love you
100%.
and love the service you provide. Personally, I would gravitate towards those, the affiliate type of relationships, or relationships that you build that bring you leads based upon you compensating them. I think that's probably one of the best traffic hacks that you can probably do. But you also have to have something that people feel really good and
Yeah.
proud to refer. And so for a lot of people, if you're a new startup and you're trying to basically come together and get something going, that's hard in the beginning, because until you have proof of concept, sometimes people won't want to talk to you. So that's the only drawback to it. But if you've got something where you've got 10 testimonials, and those 10 testimonials promote your product or service, and you can go to people that have either A, they're known promoters, or B, they're people that have used your service, but they also have a business that kind of coincides with what you do, and they can promote
Yep.
your product or service alongside of their own, and then all, by the way, get paid a referral commission. That's a great way of employing a lead getter. The other thing that will really comes up to mind is, like, taking care of your current clients, to just making sure that they're singing your praises. I mean, up until this point in Funnel Force, that's been our main focus. Not every client will feel confident, promoting you, because maybe they've got competition in their geographical area and they don't want them using you.
Right.
Um, but sometimes, if you've got someone that's, buying services like from us, and they're in another state from, some of our other desired clients, that's no problem. Like, we can get, people to do those promotions for us and whatnot. But anyway, those are my initial thoughts. There's many others, and Glenn, maybe you can touch on some of those. I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about referrals and keeping your current customers happy. That's like some of the main ones that people should focus on. And I think that number one, if you can't keep your current customers happy, you're going to be running a very high churn ratio business, and you're hoping to just kind of constantly stay ahead of the bad news, right? And so that's really important. But I do think that in the beginning, when you're trying to just build, I think maybe agency partners are a really good thing. Um, Learning proper cold outreach techniques. are important. And when I say cold, I'm talking, don't just start spamming everybody that you know on your Facebook and stuff like that. There's proper techniques that you can use that are quote unquote cold outreach that are very effective. But looking at, maybe you don't even know how to do that. And that's where I lean it back towards an agency. There's a lot of really great lead gen options. I mean, we do that as well at Funnel Force, but just you might have someone that you trust. You might have someone that you already love, and you're like, dude, these guys, I know they do really good work as far as leads. Go to that person because now you pay them to do something that you don't need to do, which you can then focus on taking care of your current clients really well, which then yields back to what Brent was talking about, more referral partners. And you can just, the list goes on, because if you bring in new leads from an agency, now they're paying, you take good care of them. Now they refer you to their audience, and you start building a bigger and bigger and bigger pool of lead getters because of your clients. And you might want to turn the agency off at some point. Maybe you want to keep it on because you can bring in unlimited clients, or you might even start looking at what are some, demand generation tools that I can bring in. I don't maybe need an agency, but maybe I just want a tool as an extension of myself that goes out and does some of these things for me. Pretty cool concepts that we can talk about, but that's where I would kind of lean it to is, what can you do to take work off your plate so that you are able to focus on what you're good at?
Yeah,
So,
one of the other things too, Glenn. Oh, sorry. Are you still going?
no, go ahead. Nope, you're good.
No, one of the other things. So, one of the other things that I was really thinking of when you were saying that was with lead generation. Maybe it would be good for us to define lead generation versus creating demand for what people are trying to do. So lead generation, a lot of people think of it as just amassing emails, and really when you're looking at doing any type of lead generation, there's a lot more to it than just amassing emails. However, comparing it to demand generation, which is where we would, almost classify ourselves, really not almost. I mean, we're a demand generation firm, but really what that looks like is creating the desire for our client's product or service. And that comes into crafting a brand image, that comes into their outreach ahead of time before you do outreach on the client's
Percent.
behalf. Like there's so many things that go into that so that there's already interest there before you reach out. And it makes it basically you're delivering warm leads or hot leads to your client instead of just a list of emails that people aren't going to answer. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I thought that might be worth something there. So hopefully that's good.
No, I mean, that's really good because people want leads that are interested right now. I mean, if someone comes to me and they're like, Glenn, I would like leads. Well, shoot, I can go and get a couple thousand email addresses that are inside their, target, and they can then try to warm those leads up. But it might not be leads that actually want to buy, which if you go back and listen to some of our other episodes, we talk about all this different stuff. Um, but demand generation is
Right.
finding the people that are currently looking for the service that you have. And that's the big deal um, behind having all these lead getters. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, it makes the lead getters a lot more efficient when people know the brand story and you can communicate that to your lead getters or program it into your lead getters or whatever vehicle you're using as lead getters. What ends up happening is that if you approach it from, hey, we're not just getting emails, but we're actually like we have a thought process behind why we're trying to create this demand, then you're so much more effective when you start doing the message outreach to sell the product or service for the client. And
Yeah.
that is probably one of the main takeaways that I would encourage people to take away from this is that if you've got a plan in place to create demand, it does go a step further than just creating a
It
list of
does.
leads. And a list of leads is not just email addresses, even though there's services out there that will sell you 10,000 emails for however much money. And you might not even know if half those email addresses work or are valid, but you get really excited because, of course, you hear things, you hear Russell Brunson talk about, hey, for every email you have in your email campaign, you're going to make $1 a month on passive income and all this stuff. Well,
Yep.
what should be here? Let me qualify that statement, because he's not wrong. But the
Yep.
emails that he's talking about inside of his email campaign, and Glenn, you know that, but like for people that are tuning into this that don't know this, those are emails that are specifically people
Mhm.
that have signed up for the content and have, and in
Amen.
some cases, especially in Russell's, have already bought into or have accepted his MIFKI, which we'll talk about that on another season of our podcast, which will be called something totally different here. I'm going to announce that at the end with some other things. But if you want to know how to basically build a desired list of people, we're going to talk about some of that stuff in the upcoming season of what is actually called traffic hackers. And Glenn and I are starting this new branch of, or this new podcast called Traffic Hackers. And what it's going to be is going to be resources and tips and everything on not only creating leads but creating demand for your products and service. And so we are actually at the wrap up point where we will be concluding following Funnel Force. And so with that, Glenn, is there anything else you wanted to add into this before we shut it down?
No, I think that, I'm super excited about where we're going with this, and everyone that's been following Funnel Force. Here's what's so cool about this. You get to follow us into what we are really excited about, which we've started to hint at in this podcast of leads and lead generation. And we're going to dive into our new podcast, The Traffic Hackers, and we're going to really get into the nitty-gritty of what it looks like to traffic hack and what it looks like to actually get traffic into your business, because man, the online space is super crowded. I think you go back 10 years ago, everybody wanted to start an online business, and if you started an online business, you could generate some pretty good cash really quickly. Whereas now there's a lot of things that you need to do to quote unquote hack your way to gaining proper traffic for your business. And it's going to be a ton of fun. I mean, we're going to look different. There's going to be a lot of great, just kidding, but there's going to be a lot of fun things in that new podcast. And I'm just so excited for everybody that has been following Funnel Force to come in and follow that journey as well, because we're going to be sharing tools that you guys can use. We're going to be giving you lots of free value, and it's going to be good. So that's all I have. And I'm
Everyone,
super excited for talking about it.
it's awesome. Every business wants warm lead traffic. That's it. Every business wants warm lead traffic, or hot lead traffic, even better. So we're gonna
Yep.
basically tailor fit all of our messaging to basically go to that. If you're watching following Funnel Force and you come to this episode because you went back after finding us on Traffic Hackers and you watched all the way through or whatever, we still have the ability for some of the things that we've talked about in previous episodes to do different things, but we will be focusing all of our efforts from this point forward on our messaging outreach, which is crafting our own brand identity around the Traffic Hackers. But we have our new softwares that we have and the ability to have lead getters deployed specifically for professionals,
Yep.
including you. If you're listening to this, you should reach out to us. We will be more than happy to tell you all about how you can employ our lead getters at a fraction of the cost of hiring other employees and other things like that. So we can help you automate your own lead getting. So with that,
Amen.
really appreciate you all for tuning in. And Glenn, thank you for taking the time to be on here today. Next time we see you, it'll be under the banner of the Traffic Hackers.